On February 8th, 2019, our son William was born. Things were good, things were new, things were hard and tiring, but it was truly a joyful and wonderful time as we entered this new season of life. Later in March, I went in for my 6-week postpartum visit with the OB, and at the end of the visit, she offered to hold baby William as I got my things together. As she handed the baby back to me, she asked, "Has anyone said anything to you about the shape of his head?" I said, "No." And with a look of concern, she said, "Ask your pediatrician about craniosynostosis." We had noticed that his forehead seemed to come to a triangular point, but at this point in his short life, William had seen at least 4 different pediatricians, and none of them had expressed any concern over the shape of his head. I asked the OB what they do about it if it was craniosynostosis, and she responded that they just do a little procedure to correct it. She said the only reason she really knew about it was because her son happened to be born with the same condition. So as soon as we got home from the OB appointment, I called our pediatrician's office and we took William in. The pediatrician looked him over and told us that he's probably fine, but we could go see a neurosurgeon if we wanted. We weren't convinced by his nonchalance, and so we headed to Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. We met with a neurosurgeon who said, yes, this is probably craniosynostosis, but while he does perform part of the surgery to correct it, who we really needed to be seeing is the plastic surgeon. So from there, we met with a plastic surgeon, who again confirmed that this was probably craniosynostosis, but they would do a CT to confirm and understand the extent of it. This led to the question that if it is craniosynostosis, what do they do about it? The plastic surgeon proceeded to explain the procedure, in which they would make a large zigzag incision from ear to ear over the top of William's head. The neurosurgeon would remove the frontal bone, and the plastic surgeon would take the bone apart and put it back together along with plates and screws to create a new frontal bone. We asked what would happen if they didn't do the surgery or if we hadn't caught it, and he explained to us that leaving the bone in its current state would most likely prevent William's brain from growing properly. He would likely deal with developmental delays, intracranial pressure, and issues with vision if it wasn't corrected. So following confirmation from the CT scan, surgery was scheduled for October 10th, when William would be about 8 months old. From March through October, we spent a lot of time going to appointments with surgeons, geneticists, ENTs, as well as blood draws and other testing. October 10th arrived, and we handed our baby over to a team of very skilled nurses and surgeons, and for many hours they operated as we anxiously waited. They took his skull apart and very carefully put it back together. The surgery went well, and we were eventually reunited with our sweet baby, his head covered in a gauze wrap and his arms in immobilizers to keep him from pulling out leads. Over the next few days, we watched our sweet, energetic, and happy boy return to his normal self. And 1 week post-op, we left the hospital with a baby with a swollen and scarred head, but otherwise happy and healthy. Our only directives were to give him Tylenol as needed to keep the wound clean and to let him be a kid. Fast forward to today, we follow up with surgeons and ophthalmologists regularly, but other than that, he lives a normal life. Each year, we make a point to celebrate October 10th as Cranio Day. Sorry. It's become akin to a birthday celebration with decorations, cranial cookies, and gifts. But most importantly, we remember and thank God for his faithful provision and protection over William's little head. I'm often prone to worry and anxiety over my family's health. But God patiently and repeatedly reminds me, do you remember that time when you just happened to have the one OB in all of Philadelphia whose son happened to have that condition? Do you remember how you were living 20 minutes from CHOP, who happens to perform this surgery more than most hospitals in the country? He provided then in so many ways, and he will continue to provide for our needs. We can trust him.